The following is a TV Cable Entertainment special production. No one could tell anything was going to be the least bit different about this day along what is known as the Mogollon Rim, the immense rock outcropping with near perpendicular cliffs stretching across much of north-central Arizona. It was June 25th, and it looked like any other Monday in the Rim Country. It was back to work after a busy tourist weekend in the nearby mountain community of Payson, Arizona. On any given weekend during the summer, thousands of campers, backpackers, and sightseers escape to this alpine paradise to hike its trails, fish its many lakes, or just escape from temperatures on the desert floor, which this week were setting records for all-time highs in excess of 120 degrees. But on Monday here, traffic slows and life returns to normal for this 1880 western town, a peaceful little town located smack dab in the world's largest stand of ponderosa pine trees. A forest which this time of the year receives daily afternoon monsoon rains. But with these storms come another familiar traveler to the Rim Country, lightning. The monsoon season was just about to begin. The fire danger was extreme as a result of minimal snowpack during the past 2 years and below normal spring rains. Then it happened. Smoke was sighted by a Forest Service employee atop this hill at the Payson Airport at about 1:15 p.m. The smoke was medium in size and was building rapidly. It was sighted on the lower 1/3 of the slope on the Mogollon Rim, which you see in the background here. 3 air tankers were immediately dispatched, along with Payson Ranger District and Tonto National Forest initial attack forces. Tonto Helicopter 323 was over the fire scene at approximately 1:35 and reported the fire was already 4 to 5 acres in size. Helitack personnel were dropped off in an attempt to control the fire. Air tankers were over the blaze by approximately 2 p.m. 5 air tankers were put into rotation, fighting the fire on its southwest side. Helicopters continued flying personnel into the fire area and were used extensively to make water drops. The first ground crews were not on the scene until almost 3:30 p.m. because of inaccessibility to the area. Due to steep terrain and rough country, nearly 2 hours were needed just to reach the original location of the fire. Within the first 2 hours, the wildfire had spread like cancer in the forest, covering an area 300 acres in size. It didn't take long to see that more people and supplies were going to be needed to control what was growing at an alarming rate. At 3 p.m., a call was made to Phoenix, which activated the Class 2 Central Arizona team of forest fire experts. Early that evening, the decision was made to turn over control to the Southwest Region Class 1 team, a national team of experts experienced in all forms of range and forest fire behavior. The Class 1 team had the additional forces and supplies desperately needed to contain the fire more quickly. By this time, the blaze had scorched over 600 acres and was growing rapidly. Numerous crews from around the state were already battling the fire, with many more from around the country on the way. Jim Paxson, a fire information officer with the Class 1 team, summarizes the first day's activity.
The fire started on the 25th, about 1:30. We are pretty sure that the cause was lightning. Within 2 hours, the fire was 300 acres. They did call the Central Arizona Class 2 team, which is an overhead organization, out, and they took control of the firefighting activities. About 10 o'clock the same night, they decided that it was just burning too vigorously and growing too big for their capabilities. They called a national team, the Class 1 team, which is an interagency team from Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Indian Affairs, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and Arizona and New Mexico State Departments of Forestry. I'm part of that team as the information officer. We got here the middle of the morning of the 26th and took the fire over on about 1 o'clock. At 8:30 the morning of the 26th, it was about 1,900 acres.
Weather conditions always play a big part in how quickly a forest fire can be contained. With erratic winds and the possibility of more lightning, a nervous eye was cast overhead, but no one could see what was about to happen. Jim Paxson explains.
We had a thunderstorm come over the fire about 2 o'clock, and it was a dry thunderstorm with very erratic, very squirrely winds, whirlwinds and dust devil kind of winds. And the fire essentially made major runs on all sides. Very unusual fire behavior that the fire burns 4 directions at once. And it did that. It increased to about 5,000 acres during a 2-hour burning period there. We had a real unfortunate situation. We had a crew trapped by the fire. It overran their location. We did lose 6 firefighters. They died. Also, 5 firefighters were injured, and they were all transported to the Maricopa County Hospital Burn Unit. One is in very critical condition with burns over 40% of his body that are 3rd-degree burns. The rest of them have varying percentages of burns and smoke inhalation, but they're all stable. 2 have been released.
This is what is called a cat line. It's a trail made by heavy equipment to draw a containment line around the fire, as well as make it easier for men and supplies to get in closer to the fire. It was only 600 yards back up this trail where 5 inmates and 1 guard from the Perryville Correctional Facility near Phoenix tragically lost their lives. The Navajo 2 firefighting team was nearby when the accident occurred, and one member had this to say.
Well, yesterday we were ordered to go up this cat line up here, and we did. We walked about a mile up that way, and we were working up in there, and this was not like this. Then the fire was further on up. There was a ridge up there. It was on top of that ridge when we were working in here. About 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, we met up with the Perryville crew from Phoenix, and we worked with them for about 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden the wind changed on us. It shifted towards us. It was working down this way, but it shifted to the east. So we realized that there was something wrong. So everybody on my crew, they started running. We started running back down this way, and it was something that it was unbelievable. I never been in a situation like this before, and that fire just came right after us, and some guys made it faster than others, and a few of them started falling behind, and I did what I could to push them to get out. We threw our tools down, and we got out, and the Perryville crew was still behind us when we got out here, and I don't know what happened then. There were some vehicles here. We just bailed into any vehicle we could find. We got out of here.
Another member of the Navajo 2 squad found the incident difficult to explain, so he shared his story in a different way.
So I just started drawing a picture of what I saw when I turned around and looked at my buddies. We're all just running. Took a glance back, and I was just trying to capture the feeling of what I was trying to think at that time. And all I remember was black heat, blazing death, one way out, can't quit, life or death, don't stop running, safety's around the next bend. And that's all you thought about. It was just running, not stopping, and if you stopped, you could die. And you just kept thinking that safety was around the next bend. All we got was from my squad bosses that turn around and start running. We didn't ask questions, it was just turn around, start running, and you just started hearing a loud roar, like jet engines coming at you. Then everything just started turning pitch black, and you could feel heat, unusual heat, higher than the sun heat. It was just an incredible amount of heat. And all you thought about was running. And it seemed like the path went on forever. Running with full packs, boots, seemed like it went on forever, and you just didn't know whether you wanted to quit or not. But we just had to keep going. There's no way you could stop. We got to the mouth of the canyon where some hot shots were at, and at that time they weren't aware of the situation. I was one of the first ones out. We told them it was coming, and they started pulling out all their equipment. And by the time they got all lined up to get out of there, the rest of the crew had come out. We'd all jumped into their vehicles, and they had taken us around the bend. But we got up about maybe 50 yards from where we were at, and that fire overran the road like it wasn't even there.
By late Tuesday afternoon, the fire was nearing 5,000 acres. But the Perryville incident wasn't the only tragedy in the story. Tuesday night, flames had spread to the Bonita Creek subdivision. Made up of a number of year-round and summer homes, residents had only a few short moments to abandon their homes and belongings and head for safer ground, getting out with their lives, but little more. This is what remains of the area, a barren waste of what is now little more than memories. Jim Paxson explains the weather conditions which played a key role in the demise of the Bonita Creek subdivision.
Last night, a little before midnight, the winds picked up. They were very dry winds, very consistent winds. It burned like it was the middle of the day, and the fire actually tripled in acreage. We're now at 15,000 acres. The Bonita Creek subdivision was burned over. The location where the firefighters died was close to Bonita Creek. Every residence in the area of the fire has been evacuated. Approximately 800 people were evacuated last night, and I think it's commendable. The town of Payson and the surrounding area has really opened its arms and taken those people in. The evacuation effort is great. We see a lot of community involvement in that, and y'all ought to be proud. Today, we're expecting the same kind of weather as yesterday. The high on the fire will be about 104. The minimum humidity is going to be below 10%. Our fuels are about as dry as they can get. The dead fuels, the logs and the dried grass and such is about 2%. The live fuels are 60 to 80%, and trees can't get any less than that in fuel moisture, in live moisture and live. It's just, this is extremely dry conditions.
Amidst the moonscape remains lie the scattered, melted, and charred pieces of what had been a cherished, peaceful mountain retreat, one that had lived on for generations. With unpredictable high winds, fuels on the forest floor which had less moisture than kiln-dried lumber, the fire raced ahead. The plume of smoke rose more than 30,000 feet above the flames. These pictures from atop the rim depict all too clearly the devastating force which drove the fire on. Spreading to the east, the fire raced towards historical landmarks of major significance to the area. Zane Grey, the famous Western novelist, had been an admirer of the rim country. Babe Haught, a local pioneer, woodsman, hunter, and guide, had led Zane Grey on many of his adventures into this area. Haught and his family were even the basis of some of Grey's books. Having built a homestead, which Zane Grey thought highly of, Babe Haught was persuaded by the writer to build him a cabin, which overlooked the land he grew to love. Over the years, the people have passed away, but the stories of these times have lived on. Gray's Cabin had become a landmark visited by people from all over the world. Hott's Cabin, standing only a few hundred feet away, although with somewhat less notoriety, swelled with the rich history of the past. This is all that remains of the places where these pioneers of the Old West once called home, a haunting tombstone with an epitaph beyond words. Off in this direction lies the Highline Trail, a trail widely known for its peaceful tranquility, stretching some 50 miles along the base of the Mogollon Rim. As a result of the Dude Fire, a large section of this trail has been lost, possibly forever. In this direction wound some much older trails which had been used before this century ever began. The General Crook Trail, named after General George Crook in 1872, had been a major supply route to Camp Verde during the Indian uprisings. The Hot Trail was used by the early settlers of the area to get to the top of the rim on trips to Flagstaff some 90 miles away. There they would get the supplies needed to exist until the next trip could be made. Much of these trails has been virtually lost due to the fire and may never be walked again. And it was tragedies like this that drove many of the firefighters on in their relentless pursuit to control the blaze. And for every one of the tragedies in this story are hundreds more which could have happened if it wasn't for the men and women who freely risked their own lives to save our forests, our homes, and our lives. This is the forest firefighter, a person who is taken away from their daily routine at a moment's notice, sent to places they may never have heard of before, and go to battle with something so immense it has the power to kill. This is the person who may be sent into the field to fight constantly for more than 24 hours at a time, not only battling fire, but intense heat and dehydration, smoke that makes your eyes and throat burn, and as a result, a form of fatigue that only a firefighter knows. What is it that makes people choose to endure these conditions? Why would anyone leave their home and go into an area that is likened only to a military battle zone? It's obvious that they love their work, but it's a real fight. A fight to save our forests, a fight to save our homes, our belongings, and our lives. It is a fight for love. And this fight wasn't about to go unnoticed by the rim area locals. Long before the fire was contained, red ribbons could be seen everywhere. On businesses, cars, and homes, just as a reminder that the people of this area weren't going to let go unnoticed the hard work, determination, and love shown by the fire crews working in the forest to save it. A call went out from a local resident to bring pies to the town hall where they would be delivered to hungry and tired firefighters returning from the field. A local Payson physician, Dr. Mark Ivey, explains.
Got up that morning, was sitting there at breakfast, and I started thinking, what could we do to actually help the firefighters? And I thought, well, you know, I've got a lot of patients and a lot of friends out there, and maybe some of them would like to bake a pie. I got down to town hall, and there's one big room there, and sat there, and I thought, well, I'm going to call every minister in town and every restaurant in town. Did that, and all of them said, you bet, it's a fantastic idea. Then I called my mom, and I said, Mom, I want you to call 2 people and ask them to call 2 people and see if you can bring a pie down. Well, within an hour, I had my first pie. Within 2 hours, I had about 50 pies. And then I didn't know what I was going to do. By 6:30, we had over 200 pies. And these were hot pies. Delivered them the first night out at the Mesa del Caballo camp. And it was like a feeding frenzy when we got there. They loved it. So we decided to do it again Saturday. And Saturday it started out with a bang. There was a group of women from Pine and Strawberry, a club out there that actually bakes, and they gave us 27 pies, and that started it off, and it was just unbelievable. You know, these weren't just pies. These came from the heart, and some of these ladies, you would have thought they were giving me their first newborn baby. So I did everything I could not to break the crust. I did not eat even one piece of the pie, regardless of what everyone has said. And we delivered 300 pies Saturday night to the Ponderosa campsite. There were 2 big chocolate cakes that were made, and the girls that were fighting out there scarf those up before the guys could get to them. So we were really proud. When we got out there, they just changed shift, and they were all coming in their little groups. And one of the guys says, "Are you selling these pies?" And I said, "No, I'm not selling these pies. These pies are from the ladies of Payson Pine and Strawberry, and they made them for you from their heart." So we put them out there, and one after another, they came and got them. And it's one of the most pleasant things I've ever been involved in. It was a spontaneous thing that happened, and it showed me what Payson is all about people who care. And I'm just proud to be a little part of that.
Just one more example in the fight for love. It's 5 a.m. and the base camp is brimming with activity as the day crew readies to relieve the men and women who've been battling the fire all night. Many aspects of overall organization are given strict attention here at base camp in order to keep up with the myriad of demands. There are many things to be considered: who and where each and every person is on the fire line at any given time. Where is the fire headed? Are there enough supplies to keep up with the demand in the field? Are there any unevacuated people still in the way of the fire? What are today's weather conditions going to be like? And how do you feed all these people?
It takes 300 pounds of pancake batter to do what we're doing this morning. It takes 400 pounds of the sausage is what we're doing today. It took 20 cases of eggs, which is 36 dozen, and 6 cases of syrup, so that's 16 gallons right there, plus our fruit and all our bread. We're running about 125 loaves of bread a day, 150 gallons of milk per meal, and all the rest of the stuff that takes to do the job.
By 3 p.m. Wednesday, there were 39 crews of firefighters in the field and 19 in the base camp. By Wednesday night, the total number of people in the fight stood at over 2,400. 14 bulldozers, 5 skidders, and 26 engines, along with teams of firefighters, had been working diligently to carve a 60-foot wide protective barrier or line around the blaze. If the fire were to cross this, the blaze could have reached as far north as Winslow. We may have lost some great old trails, but this one is going to be around for generations to come. But the fight wasn't confined only to the ground. 6 slurry bombers dove directly into the smoke towards the flames like dive bombers over a battlefield. 6 helicopter units emptied giant buckets of water on the fire, helping to control its spread. Helicopters were also used to bring needed supplies to the crews in the field. Flying conditions around this size fire and with these prevailing wind conditions is no easy task. Helicopters were also used to transport firefighters into areas difficult or even impossible to reach by ground. In this manner, even better control was added to minimize the spread of the blaze. Heli-TAC crews are very often the first people on the scene of a fire such as this. Imagine scrambling out on the pad, hopping aboard your helicopter, and being one of only 3 people who were the very first to arrive on the scene. Never knowing what you're going to encounter before you get there, when ground support will arrive, or if today might be the day the wind might shift in your direction. For every unfortunate occurrence like the Dude Fire, there is probably close to 1,000 other fires which are stopped cold before this kind of destruction can ever take place. These fires are usually caused due to lightning, or by careless campers who don't believe their campfire or cigarette could cost other people their homes or even their lives. From the air, one can see the truly devastating force which the Dude Fire had. Covering some 28,000 acres, the Dude Fire now presents the problem of how to deal with the soil erosion that steals the precious topsoil away after the vegetation has been burned. With little to hold on to, winds and heavy rains can carry the needed nutrients away, thus making it even more difficult for this land to return to its previous state. Regardless, this was a forest which had been saved from numerous other fire threats in the past. The fire was caused by nature, and nature will return this area again, even more beautiful than it was before the fire, for future generations to enjoy. The story here in the Rim Country is not one that will be forgotten anytime soon. Many years from now, children of this area may be telling their grandchildren about the Dude Fire, showing them the scars left on the land by this fight, walking with them along what may in the future be called the Barrier Trail, and hopefully sharing stories with them about the great treasures this land held, which now are already only stories. Vicki Blair, a local Payson area resident, was watching the fire, and while doing so, put these words to music which so eloquently accent this final look back.
The days have passed with fear and hope. Our lives are threatened with fire and smoke. But wherever there is love, there is a way. There is a way. Our very best are fighting strong, trying to save a love where we belong. And because of your dedication, we have to say, you're the leaders of this victory. You're the hope we all possess. You're the unspoken heroes of a land that's truly blessed. And although we've lost a battle, we know we'll win this war. For the feeling inside all our hearts know it's love we're fighting for. So let's hold strong, undying faith, and love your neighbor well. Our firemen, there is no end to the things we have to tell. You're the leaders of this victory. You're the hope we all possess. You're the unspoken heroes of a land that's truly blessed. And although we've lost a battle, we know we'll win this war. For the feeling inside all our hearts know it's love you're fighting for. You're the leaders of the victory. You're the hope we all possess. You're the unspoken heroes of a land that's truly blessed. And although we've lost a battle, we know we'll win this war. For the feeling inside all our hearts know it's love you're fighting for. You're the leaders of this victory. You're the hope we all possess. You're the unspoken heroes of a land that's truly blessed. And although we've lost a battle, we know we'll win this war. For the feeling inside all your hearts know it's love you're fighting for. The feeling inside all your hearts know it's love you're fighting for. God bless you guys up there. We're with you all the way. We love you.